think that you can just go into the news today and be a reporter. That's all I want to be. I just want to be a reporter. That's a good goal, but the competition will be much tougher because there are people who can not only be the good reporter, they can be on the anchor desk, they can write the newspaper article, they can shoot their own material, they can edit their own material, and they can do all of these multi-task broadcasting journalism techniques that in the past you bring to the table. All I can report. Well, what else can you do? Because I got 50 people lined up in front of me.
The major ones are assignment editors who are sitting up there on the top. When they work for WFOA, they listen to the scanners. So this is kind of like the spinal cord of the operation. This morning to go out and say, you've got to turn something on the Rays building a new stadium, for example. Took up the entire day. In cases, sometimes they'll do packages too, and they just have to do it in a much more condensed period of time. So they have this massive broadcast.
This is a little line item from live our financials, and asterisk 20 million.
That way they can watch over several stations at once, and then the computer basically rolls commercials. We've also realized that the targeted demo are not reading newspapers anymore, they're going online. So what our company here has done, we've always been this big proponent of convergence, sharing these resources with the Tribune, with TBO.com, but mostly Channel 8 and Tampa Tribune, combining. So we didn't send two photographers to the same location, to shoot video of something. One could take a video camera and a still camera and provide both. That's kind of like the very basic form of convergence, but there were much more advanced versions, like, if you had a Channel 8 reporter and a Tampa Tribune reporter working on the same story, they could be a lot more productive if one was focusing on this angle, calling all of the city council members, hitting this side, and the other person was out getting like people reaction or something to that effect. Just pulling your resources, teaming up, giving a lot more power to the story than what our competitors could bring to the table. I think they figured out how to work the convergence angle to the best potential it will ever have, and that is through TBO.com. This continuous news desk basically transplanted people from the Tampa Tribune, which is a money-losing operation as of the last year, moving them down to that circle that we just showed you a few minutes ago. And these folks are just, their whole goal is to accumulate the information and to bang it out online as fast as you possibly can. So some of our dilemmas that we faced, though, I'll give you an example. About a month ago, we got a tip that somebody was digging in a backyard not far from this station, and the rumor was that they were looking for this woman who's been missing for about a year and 10 months. Her name is Sandra Prince. Big local story here. Everybody's been, it's like, one of those mystery things, that people just are sucked into. Well, we sent a photographer out there, and sure enough, they had the University of South Florida had their computer scanning things, looking in the backyard for bones and stuff like that. And they were like, yep, we're looking for Sandra Prince. We were the only ones who knew it at Channel 8. It was about 4:15 or so. Well, our policy is we don't hold news, until we know the competition, we're going to beat them. We get it online as soon as we know it. And we put it online. And when our competitors who are constantly monitoring TBO.com saw it, sent crews over there, they looked like they were just as on top of it as we were. Like there was some media, alert sent out to say, hey, we're digging for some bones back there. Had we not done that, we would have had the scoop. But the whole philosophy is the news does not belong to a station. It doesn't belong to any individual. It belongs to the audience, the people. And that has been the toughest sell out of all of this, quite honestly.
Multimedia journalism for me is 2 days a week I appear on Channel 8 delivering the business report. So we tape those in the afternoon before at 3 o'clock and kind of tell people what's in the business section the next day and try to lure them into that. I had no broadcast background at all. I was a print journalist, and when I was in school, it was all about separation. Print people on this side, broadcasting on this side. I was scared to death, quite frankly, when they asked me to be on TV. I'm much more comfortable in front of the computer. The way it works is I appear regularly on WFLA to do the business report, and then as I have a story that they see on the budget, that they like, they'll ask my boss, and then I'll work on that story for them.
To take a look, it's a planning meeting, it's to take a look at the schedule over the next 18 hours so that tomorrow morning when our continuous news desk staff comes to the building, we've got a plan on our coverage for early morning hours and then throughout the day.
We have an email sent out every few hours kind of telling us or reaffirming what we think is good to put up on the front page. No surprises, Hannah Montana's, there's a group of parents that have been hanging on to a statue for the last few days, braving the elements, and they've got quite a following online. A lot of people reading that.
The continuous news desk, and I told you on the way up, that really is our biggest, most complete convergence ploy to date, I think, in terms of getting people from all three platforms together and having them work together on a daily basis, not as a one-off, not as a special project, but really as exactly what they do day in and day out. Going into this continuous news desk adventure has really caused us to rethink just about everything we do and how we do everything.